Professor Glazier is Director of the Electronic Poetry Center at the State University of New York in Buffalo. So welcome, Los Pequeno Glazier. Get your clothes off!
There's less of me to show now. Okay, so this one this piece I'm calling Frontera. So it's kind of a mix. I figure we have a crowd here that can handle a somewhat dense and rich piece. So there's the sample. Okay, so it mixes a few things, which is probably not surprising. So I'll start, some of it's on the screen. It has to do with translation, typos, isolation, little islands, and yellow custard, of course. Frontera. The Gelato Prado and the Gelato Prado window raising. Beach birch, benvenuti. There is a strange, surly way it keeps closing. Qui apparaît sur certains papiers quand on les regarde. Transparence. As weaving is often invoked to describe the work that we undertake through the materiality of words, I would like to gather a few threads that I see protruding here from the edges of this fabric. Y point being the Ramblas of language. Bevilacqua, Aqua Family History Facts, 1920. In this decollage, which in Spanish is despegado, i.e. assemblage or sticking when we fly, and actually it's unsticking, to the sky. Coming to mind is Fox Harrell's metaphor of the batik, if you've ever seen this work on the web, illuminating in a manner not unlike that of an illuminated manuscript, social and political realities of Liberia, and the installation by Simon Biggs, one of many which share this kind of textuality, where the viewer becomes part of the image, then is visually coded, iteration through iteration, into successive condensations of that image, becoming part of its fabric. X-axes, gelato, prado, breach, birth, ill, slick, hag, slipping ass, stricken, dumb-sided, shitted, blighted. A, scientific method of salsa surge, impulse, oscillation. Next, I would consider the weight and texture of paper itself and point to, from a micro-tactile perspective, the sound of the stylus etching its way through the ridges and soft spots of the fabric with which it ultimately unites to form the written object. Then I would consider the work of Native and Latino artists of the Americas, such as that of Cecilia Vicuña, where weaving is not only a metaphor and performance, but results in physically connecting the disparate energies of isolated sentient beings, laces of the audience members themselves. 3, the numbers for tracking per rectors, rectory, tapas, wine, sangria, botanicos. Let's see if this resets awkwardly or not. Does. Esto está en candela. The mystery of sleep and of palimpsestas at 4 a.m. Se llama Rodrigo, the colonnade of the Hotel Inglaterra. Do you know, it was just like Cup of Joe's on High Street, a place under colonnades where intellectuals would congregate and smoke. You waiting for your first plane ride. No te preocupes, la otra guagua viene a las 5. Sin guaguancón. A tropical back scratcher. The same bus keeps going around the block. Es una obra de teatro Yes, we're always hoping for Godot. Aprende que no soy eterno. We must all curl up. 3, from his pocket, Las Ramblas tapas, wine, sangria, windows piled, and enye. Salsa matriz, o patada. Thus, in Spanish, links are called enlaces, laces more flexible and less unilinear than their Anglo-Saxon namesakes, the old ball and chain. And of course, enlaces in Spanish also refers to matrimony, which is the same thing as manacles. What's that? Oh, esposo. You know, esposos, if you've ever been in Mexican prisons, as I hear some have people here. Those are called esposos, and your wife or husband is your esposo or esposa. Just trying to express the richness of language, make accusations about penal histories. Oh, we could get to the penile histories too, but then we have to balance it equally with vaginal.
That's right.
You got it. And weaving the web thus does not fall to that poor beaten horse song word hypertext, which I am banishing for the next 30 minutes, which is all the power I have. With its agitations, hyperactivity, and acid reflux, but rather with the spirit of unification and enlaces, of wholeness, and the implication of the kind union we may all enjoy, all world or word citizens, as energized seedlings in this emergent field. Stellar arc, as was heard, Steele's third connote, and this is the difference between Explorer and Firefox, because this one is going to keep resetting, but it's okay. I think we'll just work with it. Here you go. Con pusewek, compuesto, and Jim, let's call him, with that money belt. I myself, also benevolent in disposition, need not point to the obstruction for you to know it's there. I would only say that I think there have been others gesturing in its general direction. To be clear, this address is not to be critical, nor is it to diminish any contradictions. And just a hint, if anyone ever says an address is not to be critical, it's probably not true. However, I feel there are many attendees a bit too deferential in regards to some of the issues at hand. Being deferential is not at all a bad thing, but it can be somewhat ineffective if one is confronted with those who may have shown signs of being a bit hard of hearing. I'm not going to say dense, but let's perhaps leave it at less than reflective.